Hey guys, if you shoot in DJI D-Log M and you want to edit and grade in HDR and export to YouTube, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Firstly, the requirements. If you're editing in HDR, you need to have DaVinci Resolve Studio, and ideally you need a suitable HDR monitor. Plan B, if you don't have that, is you can always use the Blackmagic Cloud and grade it on your phone. Like iPhone support this as a free app, and you can connect all that together. And also what I'll do is I'll include the project file and the color grading node tree as a free download from DaVinciResolveTitles.com. I'll put a link in the description so you can just import the project, get started on your footage, apply the grade, happy days, and then there's the YouTube export settings. First up, you want to go to Project Settings, go to Color Management. For color science, we're going to use DaVinci YRGB, Timeline Color Space, DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate, Output Color Space Rec 2020 ST2084 1000 nits. Make sure you enable HDR mastering and set that to 1000 nits. And then lookup tables, we're going to go to 3D lookup table interpolation and set that to tetrahedral. And that's it, press save. I've dragged my footage onto the timeline. In the preview window, we can see here it's all blown out. And then in my edit window on the timeline, this has got a couple of nodes applied to it with Colorspace Transforms. We're going to jump into the color page. I've created two nodes. I've created CST in and CST out. So you can do that. You can create a new node by pressing Alt and S. And then all I did was go to Effects, add a Colorspace Transform onto the node, and then right click, give it a name. And then I'll go through the settings now. On our Colorspace Transform in, what I've got it set to is input color space is DJI D-Gamut. Input gamma is Rec 2100 HLG scene, output color space DaVinci Y Gamut, and output gamma is DaVinci Intermediate. Tone mapping, I've left these as is. I've set gamut mapping method to saturation compression, leave these on default. I found use the HDR standard conversions off look better. As soon as I turn it off, we seem to have more saturation in the colours, and I think personally it looks a little bit better. So those are our input settings. Going on to the second node, our CST out. For the input color space, I've got DaVinci Wide Gamut, input gamma DaVinci Intermediate, output color space is Rec 2100, and output gamma is ST2084 1000 nit. Tone mapping is left on default settings. Gamut mapping, I've gone for saturation compression. And in the advanced, I've got use HDR standard conversions enabled and use HDR 203 nits, diffuse white, and use white point adaptation. And that gives me a really good starting point for my grades. We're going to take a super quick look at how I set up my scopes for HDR. It's only a few little minor changes. Go over to your scopes, click on the three dots, waveform scale style. You want to change that to HDR ST2084/HLG. Vector style, that can stay the same. Display qualifier focus, I like to have that enabled so I can sort of pick and select colours and see where they are in the scopes. You can turn on the low pass filter, that does tend to make it a little bit easier to see the HDR. I'm going to expand it, and then on our vector scope, what I like to do is have the show skin tone indicator on in case I need to do any colour grading and there's people's faces in there, so those are enabled. Everything else I leave as is. And before you do anything with the grading, we need to talk about screens. Ideally, if you're colour grading HDR, you want to have a proper calibrated HDR monitor. But failing that, if you don't have one, and you do have something like an iPhone which does have a HDR screen, you could use a Blackmagic Cloud and output the result from DaVinci Resolve onto your phone and do the grading on your phone, even though you're in Resolve on your computer. I just colour grade mine on my MacBook Pro because that does have a HDR screen, but once I've got my calibrated screen, I think it'll be a lot better and I'm looking forward to it. Let me know in the comments what you're grading on. We're going to now create a professional node tree. What I want to do is move my CST out all the way over to the right, just so it's out of the way. Click on the CST in, press Alt and S a couple of times to get my nodes. I'm going to have one for exposure, one for white balance, one for contrast, another one for looks, and then I'm going to press Alt and P to create some parallel nodes. So I'm just doing a few of these, and this will allow us to add things like gradients on the sky, mask out areas in case you need them. I'm going to label our first node as exposure HDR, so EXP HDR. We're going to go into our HDR grade, and then we can use this exposure slider, Moving it left will make it darker, moving it right will make it brighter, and if you need to reset, we can press the reset button. Then I'm going to have the next node, label that white balance. And we can adjust the temperature down here if you need to. Our third node, I'm going to call it contrast. As we're working in DaVinci wide gamut, I'm going to set my pivot to 0.335. And this will give us that perfect middle grey. And if we make adjustments, it shouldn't adjust our exposure. With our Colorspace Transform, exposure, white balance and contrast, we started off in a really good place. This is where we can kind of adjust the image. I could go onto here and I could go, I could add in like a gradient on the sky. So move this. Here's our gradient. So if our sky was too bright, we could bring down the exposure in the sky. So that's where I tend to make all the fine-tuned adjustments in my parallel nodes. All right, and so you've finished your edit, you've added all your color grades onto it, and now you want to export it for YouTube. I'm going to show you the best HDR settings for YouTube. Let's go. So we go to the Deliver tab. You want to go into Custom Export, and what I've done, I've created a preset using the Custom Export. So I'll just have a quick look at what we've got. So give it a name, set your location as you would normally, and then Export Video, you want to check QuickTime as the format, codec H.265, use hardware acceleration if available. Resolution, I've got that set to the same as a timeline. Frame rate, same as a timeline. Quality, automatic is good. Optimize for speed. You definitely want to change it from main to main 10 for the encoding profile. Advanced settings, I've got them set to same as project. Gamma tag, same as project, because that's already preset. And everything else you can leave as is. And you do have the option to upload directly to YouTube if you wanted to. And the same, you got the normal subtitle settings. Leave those as is. And then add to your render queue. And then just press render all. Here's our HDR file. A good way to test it is go to MediaInfo Online. Drag your file into the upload. Over here, it's going to give you all the different information like format. So it's got MP4, codec, the duration, bitrate, and all that good stuff. The ones we're looking for to make sure this is correct for YouTube is the color primaries set to BT 2020. Transfer characteristics are shown up as PQ. Matrix coefficients are BT 2020 non-constant. As long as it's got that, it's going to be the correct format for YouTube. Then you can upload it as normal. Here's my HDR test video. If I go onto the editor, we can see it's got videos with HDR might experience quality degradation after blur. So we know that YouTube is seeing it as a HDR. Go to details, and then I'm going to open the link. And if I click here, we can see we've got HDR options on the YouTube quality settings. Just bear in mind that when I uploaded a 6-second clip, it took roughly about a minute to do the 4K version, and about 2 hours later, the HDR version was ready. So you just got to be really patient with YouTube. If you think at first it's not working, you probably haven't waited long enough. But you can see here that it is working. Before you go, don't forget to get your free project file from DaVinciResolveTitles.com. There's SDR projects in there with timelines or balanced audio, and I'll also include the HDR one with the HDR Node tree from today. You can go on over to DaVinciResolveTitles.com, go down to the free project, fill in your name and your details, hit count me in, and it will send you an email. Once you've downloaded the link from the email, we just need to extract it. So double click on a Mac or right click extract on a PC. You can delete the zip files, we don't need that. We can open this up. And then in here, you've got all like the SDR ones. And for this video, we've got the HDR one. If you double click this, this has got our project file in for YouTube. We've got our export settings, and we've got our node tree as well. So if you open this with DaVinci Resolve, we can go down to the settings and go to color management. You see it's got all our HDR settings are in there. If we go on to the color page, what you want to do is we've got the node here for the color grading. If you drag this into your window here, that's going to add the node tree. And we also want to import the export settings. They might be on there by default, but if you haven't got them, I've included them anyway. If we go to the 3 ellipses up here, import preset, go to your downloads in here, and then you've got the HDR, and it's that one. If you import that, you'll have the export settings that I use on this file. You press open to import it. If you found this useful, leave a comment below, hit that like button and smash that subscribe. And if you didn't like it, well, hit that dislike twice, and thanks for watching.